Fox News legal analyst Gregg Jarrett is here to tell us about the Comey story. What do you make of this, Gregg Jarrett? I mean, I know our biases are conservative. Mr. Comey is a Trump enemy who caused nothing but trouble and falsehoods and phoniness in the first term over Russiagate, which was all a big fat lie. But legally, how does this case stack up?
Well, the two charges, false statements, obstruction, are very straightforward, Larry. They're long overdue, but they're pretty simple. Comey allegedly leaked sensitive FBI material, and then he lied about it under questioning from Congress twice, 2017 and 2020. He insisted to Congress he never authorized somebody else to anonymously leak. But look, several former FBI officials, including Andrew McCabe, reportedly James Baker, they're on record stating that Comey did exactly that. He authorized numerous leaks, sensitive information, some of it classified. And the Inspector General did find the same thing, that Comey frequently leaked, often to inflate his ego, smear Trump, and so forth. So, it's really going to come down to a he said standoff. He has advantages. It's a Biden-appointed judge. It's the Eastern District of Virginia, which is mostly liberal, so that's going to be the jury pool. And finally, the prosecution's key witnesses are hostile to the prosecution and friendly to James Comey, so they may try to hedge their testimony in court.
You talking about McCabe? Is that one of them?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, McCabe, Baker, all of them are, Comey loyalists. And so, even though they're on record saying, yeah, he leaked, he authorized it, Baker in particular will say, well, I was under the impression that he was authorizing leaks. Now, that word impression is fungible, as you well know. So that's one way that the witnesses can get out of incriminating Comey.
I was under the fungible impression, however, that McCabe has actually acknowledged to the Wall Street Journal and to CNN over time that he was carrying Comey's water and that these were leaks, that he basically was saying the source was Comey. Now, I don't know how you prove that, but if you look at tapes and you look at some WSJ articles, news articles, there he is. Now, you can't find the guy now, okay? You can't find the guy now, McCabe. He's hiding out. But he was at one point bragging about his contact. I don't know whether that's fungible in court or not. You tell me, Greg.
Yeah, look, Andy McCabe, I think, is a wild card, probably the strongest witness for the prosecution. But Comey's defense is really quite simple. He's going to say, gee, these guys are mistaken. That's not how I remember it. And then, of course, he's already making a plea in the court of public opinion, cloaking himself as the poor victim of a politically driven vendetta by the president, which is ironic, since Comey led the first crooked lawfare campaign against Trump, launching the damaging investigation that became known as the Russia hoax. Never had credible evidence. It was based on a phony dossier that the FBI had early on debunked.
Yeah, look, everything he said, all that stuff is a bunch of lies. Fusion was a bunch of lies. Steele was a bunch of lies. Comey was a bunch of lies. It caused Mr. Trump lots of angst and aggravation, took up a lot of time and space and money and all the rest of it. The whole thing is just a travesty. The question is, Gregg Jarrett, can the guy be cornered and nailed for it? That's really the whole thing. The rest of it has become a matter of historical record. Nothing but lies. Nothing but lies. Impeachments, nothing but lies. But can he be nailed? Can he be cornered? Can he be captured? Can he be jailed, Gregg Jarrett?
Yeah, I would say, and I agree with Jonathan Turley, he says the odds are in favor of Comey for the reasons I stated, the jurisdiction, the judge, and the malleable way that the hostile witnesses can sort of fudge their testimony in his favor.
Right.
That happens in a court of law, and sometimes, even though people should be held accountable, Larry, they get away with it.
I know. There is a God, but he doesn't always do what we want him. Anyway, Gregg Jarrett, I appreciate it very, very much.